It's 2 in the morning. Your dog has a perfectly good bed somewhere in the house. And yet, here they are, circling your mattress, turning once, turning twice, then settling right beside your legs, taking up most of the space and leaving you the rest. Most people assume the explanation is simple. Maybe they're cold. Maybe it's just habit. Maybe they're a little too attached. But behavioral science suggests something very different. What your dog is doing when they choose to sleep next to you may actually be one of the strongest expressions of trust an animal can show, a behavior shaped by thousands of years of evolution, and a behavior most owners completely misunderstand. Before we break down the science behind it, take a second to subscribe to the channel, because small everyday behaviors, the ones people usually ignore, often hide the most fascinating explanations. Now let's start with the most common theory: warmth. Dogs get cold, humans are warm. Simple. Except that explanation falls apart very quickly. Your dog has plenty of other warm places they could sleep. The couch, a sunny patch on the floor, a blanket, even a pile of your clothes. If warmth was the only thing they wanted, they wouldn't need to climb onto your bed. But they still do, night after night. And that's where things start to get interesting. Because sleep is the most vulnerable state any animal can be in. When an animal sleeps, its awareness drops, reaction time slows, the ability to detect danger almost disappears. In nature, this is exactly when predators attack. So animals have a strong instinct to find the safest possible place before they fall asleep. And yet, your dog walks past every quiet corner in the house and climbs next to a human many times its size. That behavior isn't about temperature. It's about something much deeper. And to understand it, scientists started looking at the psychological bond between dogs and their owners. For a long time, people believed dogs stayed close to humans for one simple reason: food. We feed them, so they stay near us. But modern research suggests the relationship is much more complex. In fact, dogs appear to form attachment bonds with their owners that closely resemble the bond between human infants and their parents. Researchers tested this idea using a psychological experiment originally designed to study babies. It's called the strange situation test. In the experiment, a caregiver and a child enter an unfamiliar room. After a few minutes, the caregiver leaves. Researchers then observe how the child reacts. Does the child become anxious? Do they search for the caregiver? And what happens when the caregiver returns? These reactions reveal whether a secure attachment exists. When scientists applied this same test to dogs, the results were surprising. When their owners left the room, many dogs became visibly stressed. Some paced, some whined, some searched the room looking for them. But the moment their owner returned, their behavior changed almost instantly. The dogs relaxed. They approached the owner. Their stress signals disappeared. Almost exactly the same pattern psychologists see in securely attached children. In fact, about 61% of the dogs tested were classified as securely attached to their owners, nearly the same proportion found in human toddlers, which means when your dog climbs onto your bed and sleeps beside you, it may be doing something far more meaningful than looking for comfort. It may be seeking closeness to the one individual it considers the safest place in its world. But the story doesn't stop at psychology, because the connection between dogs and humans also appears to operate through chemistry inside the brain. In 2015, researchers at Azabu University in Japan ran a simple experiment. They measured oxytocin levels in dogs and their owners during normal interaction. Oxytocin is often called the bonding hormone. It's the same chemical released in a mother's brain when she holds her newborn child. It's also involved in trust, attachment, and social bonding. The researchers observed something unexpected. When a dog looked into its owner's eyes, the owner's oxytocin levels increased. But something else happened too. The dog's oxytocin increased at the same time, and that created a loop. The dog looks at the owner, oxytocin rises. The owner feels more bonded. They respond with attention or affection. The dog looks even more. More oxytocin is released. A feedback loop forms between two completely different species. What made the discovery even stranger was this: when scientists repeated the same experiment with wolves raised by humans, the loop didn't appear. The chemical response simply wasn't there, which suggests something important. This bond didn't just happen by accident, it evolved over thousands of years of living together. And physical contact strengthens this effect even more. Studies show that just 10 minutes of petting a dog can reduce cortisol levels, the body's main stress hormone, in both the dog and the human. Now imagine what happens over 8 hours of sleeping side by side. But to understand why this bond exists in the first place, we need to go much further back in time, long before cities, long before farming, before humans even began writing things down. Dogs are believed to be the first animal humans ever domesticated. Roughly 15,000 years ago, wolves began approaching human camps. They were drawn by scraps of food, warmth from fires, and the safety of human groups. The wolves that were less aggressive and less fearful survived better. Over many generations, those traits slowly spread. The animals became more tolerant of humans, more social, more curious. Eventually, they weren't wolves anymore. They had become something new: dogs. Archaeological discoveries revealed just how close this relationship became. In Germany, researchers discovered a burial site dating back around 14,000 years. Inside the grave were 2 humans, and beside them were 2 dogs. But one detail stood out. One of the dogs had previously survived a severe case of canine distemper, a disease that normally kills within a few months. For that dog to survive, someone must have cared for it continuously for weeks, thousands of years ago, long before modern veterinary medicine. That means those humans didn't see the dog as a tool. They saw it as something else, a companion, a member of their social group. Genetic studies support this idea. Domestic dogs carry unique genetic changes associated with friendliness and social behavior toward humans. Wolves don't have these changes, which means dogs weren't just trained to live with humans. They were shaped by evolution to seek us out, to stay close, and possibly even to sleep beside us. But there's another question researchers wanted to answer. If dogs sleep next to us, does it actually improve our sleep, or does it secretly make it worse? Researchers at the Mayo Clinic wanted to answer that exact question. They monitored the sleep of 40 adults and their dogs for 7 nights. Both the dogs and the owners wore clinical sleep trackers. The data revealed something interesting. Objectively, dogs did disrupt sleep. They moved, they repositioned, sometimes they stretched in the middle of the night. The trackers showed small interruptions in human sleep throughout the night, but the participants reported something completely different. Almost all of them said they felt more comfortable sleeping with their dog nearby. Many even said they slept better. How could both things be true? Another researcher at Canisius College surveyed nearly 1,000 women about their sleeping habits. Participants compared 3 different sleeping partners: dogs, cats, and human partners. The results were surprising. Dogs were rated as less disruptive than human partners, more predictable, more comforting. Follow-up studies using motion trackers found something even stranger. Owners were waking up briefly when their dogs moved during the night, but they almost never remembered it in the morning. The interruptions were real, but the feeling of safety was stronger than the disruption, which suggests something important. For the human brain, sleeping beside a trusted companion may create a sense of security that outweighs small sleep disturbances. And that idea leads to an even deeper discovery, because researchers began to notice that when dogs and owners rest together, their bodies may actually begin to synchronize. In 2024, researchers at the University of Jyväskylä in Finland studied 30 dog owner pairs. They measured something called heart rate variability, or HRV. HRV is one of the most reliable indicators of how the nervous system is functioning. When HRV is high, the body is relaxed and regulated. When it drops, the body is experiencing stress. The researchers monitored dogs and owners across several situations: walking, resting, interacting, and simply sitting quietly together. A pattern quickly appeared. When the owner was calm, the dog's nervous system reflected the same calm state. When the owner experienced stress, the dog's physiological signals shifted as well. Their nervous systems were responding to each other. Even more interesting, this synchronization was strongest when both were resting, especially during quiet periods. In other words, 2 different species were showing signs of physiological co-regulation, their bodies adjusting to each other. Researchers tested the same measurements between dogs and unfamiliar people. The synchronization disappeared, which suggests this effect only happens when a strong bond exists. But there is one more detail most dog owners never think about, and it might be the most important part of this entire behavior. If your dog has slept beside you for months or even years, and one day suddenly stops, don't ignore it. Dogs are creatures of habit. When a deeply established behavior changes overnight, there is usually a reason. Sometimes the reason is environmental. A new pet in the house, a new person, changes in routine. Dogs are extremely sensitive to shifts in their territory. Even small changes can alter their behavior, but sometimes the reason is physical. Veterinary researchers have noticed that changes in sleeping location can be one of the earliest signs of pain in dogs. It can appear before limping, before stiffness, before any obvious symptom. A dog that suddenly stops jumping onto the bed may not simply prefer the floor. It may be experiencing discomfort. In older dogs, disrupted sleep patterns can also be linked to canine cognitive dysfunction, a condition similar to dementia in humans. Studies estimate it affects roughly 35% of dogs over 8 years old. Dogs can't explain what they're feeling. They communicate through behavior, and sometimes a small change, like where they sleep, is the only signal they can give. So the next time you wake up in the middle of the night and find yourself with only a few inches of mattress left, remember what might actually be happening. Your dog had options: the couch, the floor, their own bed, a warm spot somewhere else in the house. But out of all those places, they chose you. Because over 15,000 years of evolution, dogs developed a bond with humans unlike any other relationship in the animal world. A bond built on attachment, reinforced by chemistry, and strengthened by thousands of nights spent resting side by side. For your dog, sleeping next to you may represent the safest place it knows, and according to research, that closeness might be affecting you too. If you enjoy videos that explore the hidden science behind everyday behaviors, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because some of the most ordinary moments in life often have the most extraordinary explanations behind them. And if you've ever noticed your dog staring at you for no reason, the science behind that behavior is even stranger.